Hello?
Hello there. What can I help you with today?
Change your voice.
I can't change my voice, but I can change the speed and pitch of my voice. Would you like me to try that?
Yes.
Okay, here's my voice with a higher pitch. What do you think?
Try a different one.
Here's my voice with a lower pitch. How's this?
Better.
I'm glad you like it. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Tell me history about Hluboká nad Vltavou Castle.
Hluboká Castle has a really interesting history. It was originally built as a Gothic castle in the 13th century, but the Schwarzenberg family transformed it into the beautiful neo-Gothic style you see today in the 19th century. They were inspired by Windsor Castle in England. Did you know that it's considered one of the most beautiful castles in the Czech Republic?
Yes, I do. Tell me more.
Okay, besides the castle itself, the town of Hluboká nad Vltavou has a rich history too. It was an important trade center in the Middle Ages and later became known for its breweries. The town really grew in importance along with the castle. Would you like to hear more about the town's history, or should we stick with the castle?
Stick with the castle. Tell me more about the history and the development of the buildings.
Okay, so the castle's architecture is a mix of Gothic and Neo-Gothic styles. It was originally built in the 13th century, but the Schwarzenberg family really transformed it in the 19th century. They added those beautiful towers, the grand halls, and the intricate carvings that make it so unique. Would you like to hear more about the specific rooms or features of the castle?
Yes.
Certainly. The castle has undergone several major renovations over the centuries. The most significant one happened in the 19th century, when the Schwarzenberg family decided to remodel it in the neo-Gothic style. Inspired by Windsor Castle in England, this gave it the fairy tale appearance it has today. Would you like to hear about any specific architectural features?
Yes, at the beginning.
The castle was originally built in the 13th century as a royal castle. Over time, it passed through the hands of various noble families, each adding their own touch. The most significant changes happened in the 19th century, when the Schwarzenberg family remodeled it in the neo-Gothic style, inspired by the Romantic architecture of England. Would you like to hear about the specific rooms or features of the castle?
No, I wish to know about at the beginning it was fortress, right? Tell me about the fortress.
You're right. It started as a fortress. Hluboká Castle was originally built as a royal fortress in the 13th century. It was part of a chain of fortifications built to protect the Kingdom of Bohemia. Over the centuries, it was expanded and modified, but the basic structure of the fortress remained. Would you like to hear about the castle's role in any specific historical events?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, that's right. It was originally built as a fortress in the 13th century. It was part of a chain of fortifications built to protect the Kingdom of Bohemia. Over the centuries, it was expanded and modified, but the basic structure of the fortress remained. Would you like to hear about the castle's role in any specific historical events?
Yes, tell me about the role.
The castle played a role in several important historical events. It was a strategic stronghold during the Hussite Wars in the 15th century, and it also saw action during the 30 Years' War in the 17th century. Would you like to hear more about either of those conflicts?
Yes.
During the Hussite Wars, the castle was a key stronghold for the Catholic forces. It was besieged several times, but it never fell to the Hussites. The castle's strategic location and strong fortifications made it a difficult target to capture. Would you like to hear more about the castle's role in the 30 Years' War?
Yes.
During the 30 Years' War, the castle was captured by Swedish forces in 1619. It remained under Swedish control for several years, and it was used as a base for their operations in the region. The castle was eventually returned to the Habsburgs in 1621, but it was heavily damaged during the war. Do you want to know more about the castle's history after the 30 Years' War?
Yes.
After the war, the castle was in pretty rough shape. It wasn't until the 18th century that the Schwarzenberg family started to restore it. They turned it into a beautiful Baroque residence. Then, in the 19th century, they gave it that amazing neo-Gothic makeover, inspired by Windsor Castle. Would you like to hear more about the castle's architecture or its role in later history?
Both of them.
Okay, let's start with the architecture. The The castle is a mix of Gothic and Neo-Gothic styles. It was originally built in the 13th century, but the Schwarzenberg family really transformed it in the 19th century. They added those beautiful towers, the grand halls, and the intricate carvings that make it so unique. As for its role in later history, the castle remained in the Schwarzenberg family until 1939. After World War II, it was nationalized and became a museum. Today, it's one of the most visited castles in the Czech Republic.
Tell me about the inspiration about the Windsor Castle.
Hluboká Castle's neo-Gothic makeover in the 19th century was heavily inspired by Windsor Castle in England. The Schwarzenberg family, who owned Hluboká at the time, were fascinated by Windsor's romantic style and wanted to create a similar residence for themselves. They even hired the same architect who worked on Windsor Castle to help with the design.
How long take the reconstruction?
The reconstruction took quite a while. It started in 1839 and wasn't fully completed until 1871. That's over 30 years. The Schwarzenberg family was very meticulous about the details, and they wanted everything to be perfect. The reconstruction was a massive undertaking, and it cost a fortune. The Schwarzenberg family was one of the wealthiest families in Bohemia, so they could afford it. It's hard to say exactly how much it cost, but it was definitely millions of dollars in today's money.
What about the tower of the castle?
The castle has 11 towers in total. The most famous one is probably the main tower, which is over 60 meters tall. It offers amazing views of the surrounding countryside.
Tell me more about these towers.
The towers are definitely a highlight of the castle's architecture. They're all different shapes and sizes, and each one has its own unique details. Some of the towers were used for defense, while others were purely decorative. The main tower, for example, was used as a lookout point, and it offers stunning views of the surrounding countryside. Would you like to hear about any specific tower?
Well, about the main tower. The tallest.
Okay, so the main tower is the tallest and most prominent of the castle's 11 towers. It stands over 60 meters high and offers panoramic views of the surrounding countryside. It was originally used as a lookout point and for defensive purposes. Today, visitors can climb to the top for a breathtaking view. Would you like to hear about any other towers?
Yes, the front one. There is two of them.
Those are the two main towers at the front of the castle. They're called the Clock Tower and the White Tower. The Clock Tower has a huge clock on it, and the White Tower is known for its beautiful white stone. Would you like to hear more about either of those towers?
Yes, either of them.
The clock tower is named for the large clock face that adorns it, and it's one of the most recognizable features of the castle. The White Tower, on the other hand, is known for its light-colored stone and elegant design. It's often used in photos and paintings of the castle. Would you like to hear about the history of either of these towers?
Yes, go ahead.
The clock tower was built in the 16th century, and its clock mechanism is still original. The White Tower, on the other hand, was built in the 19th century and served as a residence for the castle's owners. It's known for its beautiful white facade and elegant interiors. Would you like to hear about the other towers?
No, tell me about the lake.
The lake behind Hluboká Castle is called Munický Pond. It's a man-made lake that was created in the 16th century to supply water to the castle and the town. Today, it's a popular spot for fishing and boating. Would you like to know more about the history of the pond?
Yes.
Munický Pond was created in the 16th century to supply water to Hluboká Castle and the town of Hluboká nad Vltavou. It was originally much smaller, but it was expanded over the centuries to its current size. Today, it's a popular spot for fishing, boating, and swimming. Hluboká Castle is located in the South Bohemian region of the Czech Republic, near the town of Hluboká nad Vltavou. It's about 140 kilometers south of Prague.
Tell me more about the nearby area of the castle.
The area around Hluboká Castle is known for its beautiful South Bohemian countryside. There are rolling hills, forests, and the Vltava River flowing nearby. The town of Hluboká nad Vltavou is also close, offering shops, restaurants, and other attractions. Would you like to know more about the town or the natural surroundings?
The natural surroundings.
The castle is surrounded by beautiful forests and rolling hills, perfect for hiking and biking. The Vltava River is also nearby, offering opportunities for boating and fishing. There are also several nature reserves in the area, protecting the unique flora and fauna of South Bohemia. Would you like to know more about any specific natural feature or activity?
Tell me about the indoor of the castle.
The interior of Hluboká Castle is just as impressive as the exterior. The rooms are richly decorated with period furniture, artwork, and tapestries. The castle also has a large collection of weapons and armor, as well as a library with over 10,000 books. Would you like to hear about any specific rooms or features inside the castle?
Tell me about these specific features of the library.
The library at Hluboká Castle is really something special. It's got over 10,000 books, some of them really old and rare. The room itself is beautiful, with dark wood shelves and big windows. It feels like stepping back in time. Would you like to hear about any specific books in the collection?
No. Tell me about the largest room of the castle.
The largest room in Hluboká Castle is the Grand Hall. It's a huge space with high ceilings, large windows, and beautiful decorations. It was used for big parties and events, and it's still used today for concerts and other performances. Would you like to hear more about the decorations in the Grand Hall?
No.
Would you like to hear more about any specific aspect of the castle?
Yes, about the garden.
The gardens at Hluboká Castle are absolutely stunning. They were designed in the English landscape style, which was very popular in the 19th century. The gardens feature a variety of trees, shrubs, and flowers, as well as several fountains and sculptures. The Schwarzenberg family used to host grand parties and events in the gardens, and they're still a popular spot for visitors today. Would you like to hear more about the specific plants and flowers in the garden?
Yes.
The gardens were designed in the English landscape style, which was very popular in the 19th century. They feature a variety of trees, shrubs, and flowers, as well as several fountains and sculptures. The Schwarzenberg family used to host grand parties and events in the gardens, and they're still a popular spot for visitors today. Would you like to hear more about the specific plants and flowers in the garden? Or perhaps about the fountain?
Tell me about the architecture of the interiors. What the style are there?
Baroque is a very ornate and dramatic style of architecture that was popular in Europe from the 16th to the 18th century. It's characterized by its grand scale, elaborate decorations, and use of curves and movement. Would you like to know more about the Baroque style?
Tell me about the architecture of the interiors.
The interiors of Hluboká Castle are primarily in the Neo-Gothic style, which was popular in the 19th century. This style is characterized by its pointed arches, ribbed vaults, and ornate decorations. However, you'll also find elements of earlier styles, like Baroque and Renaissance, in some of the older parts of the castle. Would you like to hear about any specific rooms or architectural features?
Yes, I'm interested about the Gothic features of the castle.
The Gothic features in Hluboká Castle are really striking. You'll see lots of pointed arches, especially in the windows and doorways. The ceilings often have ribbed vaults, which are those cool-looking arched supports. There are also lots of intricate carvings and sculptures, especially on the walls and around the fireplaces. Would you like to hear about any specific rooms with Gothic features?
Tell me about the sacral room of the castle.
The castle's chapel is a beautiful example of neo-Gothic architecture. It features stained glass windows, intricate carvings, and a high altar. The chapel was used for religious ceremonies and private worship by the castle's residents. Would you like to hear more about the chapel's history or decorations?
Both of them.
Okay, so the castle's chapel is a beautiful example of neo-Gothic architecture. It's got those tall, pointed arches, stained glass windows that let in colourful light, and intricate carvings all over the place. The altar is really impressive too. It's definitely a peaceful and beautiful space. Would you like to hear more about the chapel's history or decorations?
About the history.
The chapel was built in the 14th century, but it was rebuilt in the neo-Gothic style in the 19th century. It was originally used for religious ceremonies by the castle's residents. Today, it's a popular spot for weddings and other events.
Tell me about the terraces on the back.
The castle has several terraces, but the most famous one is probably the large terrace. It's located on the south side of the castle and offers stunning views of the surrounding countryside. The terrace is decorated with beautiful flower gardens and sculptures, and it's a popular spot for weddings and other events.
Tell me about the stairs on the terraces.
The steps on the terraces are made of stone and are quite wide and grand, perfect for making an entrance. They're decorated with intricate carvings and sculptures, and lined with colorful flowers and plants. Would you like to hear about the specific types of flowers and plants that grow on the terraces?
No, tell me about the features of the terraces.
The terraces are designed in the English landscape style, which was popular in the 19th century. They feature a variety of trees, shrubs, and flowers, as well as several fountains and sculptures. The terraces were used for grand parties and events, and they're still a popular spot for visitors today. Would you like to hear about the specific types of plants and flowers on the terraces?
No, tell me about the other terraces.
Okay, besides the large terrace, there's also the rose garden terrace, which, as the name suggests, is filled with beautiful rose bushes. There's also the small terrace, which is a bit more secluded and offers a quieter spot to enjoy the views. Would you like to hear about any other specific terraces?
No, tell me about owners in order.
Hluboká Castle has a long and interesting history, with many owners over the centuries. It started as a royal castle, then passed through the hands of noble families like the Lords of to.do and the Bernsteins. The most famous owners were the Schwarzenbergs, who transformed it into the beautiful neo-Gothic castle you see today. Would you like to hear more about the Schwarzenberg family?
No, tell me about the first owners of the castle.
The first known owners of Hluboká Castle were the Lords of to.do, a powerful Bohemian noble family. They built the original Gothic castle in the 13th century. After them came the Krusina of Lichtenberg family, who expanded the castle in the 15th century. Would you like to hear about any other owners?
Yes. Who was next?
After the Krusina of Lichtenberg family, the castle was owned by the Lords of Rosenberg, another powerful Bohemian noble family. They were known for their wealth and influence, and they held on to the castle for quite a while. Would you like to hear about the other families who owned Hluboká Castle?
Yes, tell me about Bernstein family.
The Bernstein family were major players in Bohemian history. They were one of the richest and most powerful noble families in the Kingdom of Bohemia. They owned Hluboká Castle for a while and made some significant changes to it. Would you like to hear more about their time as owners?
Yes, what changes they made?
The Bernstein family transformed Hluboká Castle from a Gothic fortress into a grand Renaissance residence. They added new wings, courtyards, and elaborate decorations, giving the castle a much more luxurious feel. Would you like to hear more about the specific architectural changes they made?
Yes.
Okay, so the Bernstein family really transformed Hluboká Castle. They turned it from a pretty basic Gothic castle into a fancy Renaissance residence. Think grand courtyards, elegant decorations, and a much more luxurious vibe. Would you like to hear more about the specific changes they made to the architecture?
Yeah. Yes.
They added those grand courtyards and elegant decorations you see today, and they really expanded the castle, making it much larger. The Bernstein family were known for their wealth and influence, so they spared no expense in making Hluboká Castle a luxurious and impressive residence. Would you like to hear about any other owners?
Tell me about the courtyards. How many courtyards are there?
Hluboká Castle has several courtyards, each with its own unique charm. There's the upper courtyard, the lower courtyard, and the inner courtyard, just to name a few. Each one has its own special features and history. Would you like to hear about a specific courtyard?
Tell me about each courtyard, about the history and features.
Okay, Let's start with the upper courtyard. It's the oldest one, dating back to the 13th century. It's got that classic medieval castle feel, with its stone walls and arched entrances. The lower courtyard is a bit more open, and was used for ceremonies and events. Finally, the inner courtyard is the most private one, surrounded by the castle's living quarters. It's got a beautiful fountain and some lovely gardens. Did you want to know about any other courtyards?
Tell me about the oldest courtyard. What is the architecture? Style.
Yep. Okay, the lower courtyard is more open and grand, perfect for ceremonies and events. It's got a mix of Gothic and Renaissance styles, with elegant arches and It's got a simpler, more relaxed style.
Can you repeat again?
Sure thing. The upper courtyard is the oldest, so it's got that classic medieval castle vibe. Think thick stone walls, arched doorways, and a real sense of history. It's a bit rougher and more rugged than the other courtyards. Would you like to hear about the architecture of the other courtyards as well?
Tell me more about the architecture of the oldest courtyard.
Well, the upper courtyard is the oldest, dating back to the 13th century. It's got that classic medieval castle feel, with its stone walls and arched entrances. The lower courtyard is a bit more open and was used for ceremonies and events. Finally, the inner courtyard is the most private one, surrounded by the castle's living quarters. It's got a beautiful fountain and some lovely gardens. Is there anything else you'd like to know about the castle?
Tell me about the gardens with the views on the castle.
The gardens at Hluboká Castle are absolutely stunning. They're designed in the English landscape style, so they feel very natural and romantic. You'll find winding paths, colourful flower beds, and lots of beautiful trees and shrubs. The views from the gardens are incredible, overlooking the Vltava River and the surrounding countryside. There are several gardens to explore, each with its own unique charm. Lovely fountain. The Japanese garden offers a more tranquil experience with its serene pond and carefully placed stones. And the Baroque garden is all about grandeur.
That's all for me. I don't feel well now, so the Gemini AI gave me a little bit of hand, so I hope that you enjoy it and find interesting this guided tour that was by assistance of the Google Gemini AI. So I had a good time when I was doing this, and hope you too. So any suggestion, let me know in the comment sections, and I will talk to you later. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not done it yet already, and make comments and support this channel. That's all. Choose.